Visions 3. We have a channel that we do about mixed race family with my son, Miles, and my lovely, beautiful partner, V. Reconnecting, there we go. All right, sorry about that, folks. The router just literally went out right as we went online. Can you hear me now?
Well, mine's spinning.
Okay, well, anyway, let me know if you can hear my audio, whoever is out there. See, we had somebody waiting and then they left. Great. All right. Can you test and see if anybody? Okay, someone's there. How's the audio? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Daddy.
You can?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let's begin. A few minutes ago, I came online and then our router quit, so now we had to get reconnected. Um, I did not advertise this live stream, so therefore I hope we get some subscribers or some other folks to join us. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from Global Visions 3. My name is John. We do the channel with our son Miles and my lovely partner V, who is a teacher here where we live. We live in Thailand. The reason why I wanted to go live tonight was because of the tragedy that occurred yesterday here in Thailand, where over 20 children were murdered at a daycare center in northeastern Thailand. And then the perpetrator, the person who committed this crime, also killed some teachers and staff members, and then went home and killed his family and also himself. So the total amount of casualties yesterday was 38. Now, I'm doing this live stream by myself, so I can't see the questions here. Oh, hi, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. Um, so most of you have heard about this tragedy in the news, and it has totally shocked me and just about everyone else here in Thailand. This is something that just doesn't happen here in this country. 2 years ago, we had an incident in which a soldier who had some issues went into a shopping center up north, several hours up north, and killed about 20 people in that incident. He himself was killed by a SWAT member. The perpetrator of yesterday's tragedy was a former police officer. Um, don't really know too much about his situation other than he was terminated from his police officer job several months ago for dealing what we call here in Thailand yaba. You may know that as crystal methamphetamines or ice, or I think in the Philippines it's called shabu, something like that. Anyway, so this person was terminated from his position, a position of trust in our, communities, and don't know if he was high on yaba or ice or crystal meth. We don't know, but he committed this crime. Now, the question that I have, and I think many people have today, is: are we safe in Thailand? I'm from America, and as most of you know, mass shootings are almost a daily occurrence in the United States. We just had an incident a couple of months ago where a teenager was able to obtain an assault weapon and go to a elementary school, and he wound up killing over 20 elementary school students before he was taken out by the I don't know, SWAT team or the border patrol or whatever. In that particular incident, 71 minutes had passed from the time that the law enforcement officials arrived at the scene to the time that the shooting ended and the perpetrator, the shooter, was killed. In the videos that I've seen of this incident, the professionals, the police, the FBI, the SWAT teams, whatever, these folks with their tactical gear and their bulletproof vests and all that, they waited over 70 minutes before the shooter was confronted. There are people in America that say that the only way to combat a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun. In that particular incident in Texas, Uvalde, Texas, that nonsense was proven to be false. because all of the professional police and SWAT guys and whatever, they were just sitting by while the shooter was killing students in the classroom before they made contact with this person. So you've heard about many of these mass shootings in America. About, I think it was maybe 10 years ago or so. I don't know exactly the how many years. There was an incident where, again, a teenager went into an elementary school in Sandy Hook, in America, and killed over 25 young students. Now, for many people outside of the United States, and even myself, I'm like, why does this happen so much in America? What kind of society are we living on nowadays? It's very sad. Yeah, it is very sad, and it's very tragic. But in America, people become numb to these mass shooting incidents, which can take place in a shopping center, many schools, churches, so many places, public areas. Of course, there was an incident several years ago where some guy went to a hotel in Las Vegas and using these automatic weapons shot 58 people to death from a hotel window. Um, I am not an attorney, but this much I do know. Firearms in America most likely will kill you, even if you're asleep in your bed. Okay? And there is too many guns in America. And in fact, I have some statistics that I want to share with you throughout this live stream. America has a population of 320 million people. However, there are over 436 million firearms in the United States. For me, that's way too many. The laws in the United States, depending on which state, are generally fairly lax. In other words, it's pretty easy to get a gun. In many states, there's not even a criminal or a background check required. Because of the large number of gun ownership in America, of course, many households have guns. So there have been many times when a young child or a teenager has been able to access the firearm from their dad's closet or whatever, and the young children would play with the firearms, and then there would be a tragedy. Somebody would get killed, shot accidentally, and somebody would die. We've had many incidents where a young person has taken the firearm from their parents' collection and has gone to a church or a school or wherever, and they started shooting people randomly and committing murder. Now, there's 50 states in America. Every state has their own legal age limit. It could be 18, 20, 21. In Thailand, the legal age to purchase a firearm is the age of 20. Before I did this live stream, I spoke with a friend of mine who is a dual citizen. In other words, he's got American and Thai citizenship. He's got two passports. He lives here in Thailand. His brother and his father were in the military. So he's been around guns, so he knows something about guns. But he chooses to live here in Thailand. I also consulted with a friend of mine who is an attorney. He's Thai. I asked him some questions about gun ownership and that kind of thing. And I want to share that with you. But before I do, let's talk a little bit about yesterday's incident. As I mentioned earlier, it was a police officer that had been arrested and terminated from his position for dealing yaba, methamphetamine, ice, crystal meth, same thing. Now, as a police officer, of course, you have, access to a firearm. That's part of your job. Now, my attorney friend said that for certain occupations in Thailand, like military and police, even attorneys and some government officials, they can have their gun permits and legal ownership fast-tracked. I asked my friend, why would an attorney need a firearm? And he said, well, sometimes attorneys have to go into dangerous areas, neighborhoods, and whatever, so it's good to be prepared. Now, he is the legal owner of, let's see, what was it? Okay, He's the legal owner of a Beretta M9A pistol. Some of you that know about firearms and guns and that kind of thing know what this pistol is. I think it's an automatic pistol. And he has the proper paperwork for this particular firearm. So anyway, this police officer, I'm not sure if he used his service pistol or not, but he was also armed with some type of a knife. I'm not sure if it was machete. So quite a large number of the victims were not shot. They were actually cut to pieces or hacked to death. Of course, others were shot. He killed himself and his family. Now, many of us in here in Thailand are reeling from this tragedy. Good evening. Hey, thank you, NG2 TV. Thank you for joining us here. Um, as I said earlier, as an American, we're used to this. We're numb to this. But I have been in Thailand for many years, and I've always felt safe. Even when I lived in Bangkok, which is, a big city, 12 million plus people, I never felt like I was going into a dangerous area or that I had to worry about my safety. To be honest with you, my biggest concern as far as safety was like being a passenger on a motorbike taxi. Okay, there's thousands of motorbike taxis in Thailand, and just about everywhere you go, these guys tend to be a little crazy when they drive and stuff like that. So my biggest concern was dying in a motorcycle accident. Okay, not about getting shot or being in a mass shooting or anything like that, or having even to worry about the police. Okay, I find the police here to be, in my interaction with them, pretty mellow and actually kind of cool sometimes. However, that cannot be said for the police in America. Now, I'm sure my next comment will probably ruffle some feathers if you're in America or if you have a relative who's in law enforcement or whatever. But from my own personal experience and from the incidents that have occurred in the last several years, you're more likely to get shot by a police officer in America than you would be by any other perpetrator. The police tend to be a bit trigger happy in the United States. There's been many incidents. In one particular incident, an innocent woman who was asleep in her bed at home was killed when the police officers busted into the wrong house, and without even asking questions or saying, hands up or anything, they just started shooting and killed this innocent woman. We've had incidents where, innocent people were just say, hey, they put their hands up, boom, they get shot by the police. There was an incident where a young black man was walking into his SUV where his family was, and instead of the police like restraining him or saying, please stop, whatever, they just decided to shoot him 7 times. He survived. He's paralyzed, but what? Shoot the guy 7 times? You can't say, excuse me, stop, hello, There's another incident where, again, another African American was running away from a police officer, and he was shot in the back and killed. So there's been a lot of these, and I'm not a big fan of law enforcement in the United States because I have had my own experiences with them, and in fact, I was involved in a civil lawsuit against the police officers where I lived in America. I won because they were using excessive force, and some of it was captured on video. But that's besides the point. Let's talk about statistics. America has the highest number of, let's see, hello, random thoughts, okay, all right. Thank you for joining us, John Urban. Compared to other countries around the world, America has the highest amounts of deaths by firearms. Now, let me give you some information. I can share this with you, okay? I'm going to write this. Okay, this is for 2021. Last year, there were 48,832 deaths by firearms. However, 24,300 of those were suicides. So there's a lot of people that choose guns to commit suicide in the United States. But nearly 19,380 were fatalities. In other words, guns were used for homicides, murders, robberies, whatever, fatalities. Almost 20,000. In 2016, I was able to find some statistics for various countries in terms of how many people die each year from gun-related deaths. The country second behind the United States with the highest number of gun fatalities, mostly homicides, is Brazil. In 2016, Brazil recorded over 43,000 deaths by firearms. Most of those were homicides. Mexico was second with about 15,400 deaths by firearms, but I'm not sure how many of those were, homicides and how many were suicides. But I just wanted to give you the numbers: 43,200 in Brazil, 15,400 in Mexico. Here in Asia, the country with the highest amount of fatalities by guns is the Philippines. In 2016, they recorded 8,000 fatalities by firearms in the Philippines. And only a very small number of those were like accidents or suicide. In fact, 7,600 of those deaths were by homicides in the Philippines, so 8,000. Thailand falls behind the Philippines. In 2016, Thailand reported just over 3,800 deaths by firearms. Again, I'm not sure exactly how many of those were homicides and how many of those were suicides or accidents. Japan, a country where guns are practically non-existent, reported 450 in 2016, 450 homicides or deaths by firearms. Singapore had one of the lowest at just seven. Seven deaths by firearms in 2016. In Europe, the United Kingdom reported just 248 deaths by firearms. France, for some reason, had the highest number of deaths by firearms at 2,300. Switzerland, just below the UK at just over 300 deaths by firearms. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that America has way too many guns, as I said earlier, over 430 million compared to a population of just 320 million. And in many cases, it's quite easy to get a gun in America. In many cases, you don't have to do a background check. You could just be 18 years old and walk in there, pay the money, walk out with a gun. Unfortunately, there are many firearms that you can purchase in America that really should not be sold to the public, and those are like military style weapons like AK-47s, AR-15s, and a number of other things, Uzi, submachine guns, whatever. You can buy these in America, and usually fairly easy. They prefer samurai. In Japan, they use samurai. That's right. But keep in mind that just a few months ago, the former prime minister of Japan was assassinated by a guy who made his own gun. And he was standing behind the prime minister. He had this thing. He made it home, and it went off. And unfortunately, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, was assassinated. But of course, in America, we've had four presidents that have been assassinated by firearms. The last one was President John F. Kennedy in 1963. And we've had a number of other politicians and celebrities that have been murdered by firearms. One of the most notable ones was John Lennon, who was murdered by a firearm back in 1980. In the house, okay. All right, so folks, thank you for joining us, and thanks for your messages, but I can't read them from this distance from the phone, so if I do this, it's because I'm trying to read your messages. All right, so basically, firearms are readily available in the United States. So what I want to do is focus on Thailand a little bit, because, it never really occurred to me until yesterday, like, what are the gun laws in Thailand, and how are people able to purchase firearms, and what's the deal? Okay, so let's start with a friend of mine who I mentioned earlier is a dual citizen. He's got American, Thai citizenship. He lives here in Thailand. He's got experience because a couple of his family members were in the military, his dad, his brother. So he sent me some information which I'm going to share with you because, like I said, I didn't know anything about gun ownership. It never occurred to me. I'm not a fan of guns. I did own, I legally owned a shotgun when I lived in Hawaii many, many, many years ago. But basically, I just got that to kill rats. I didn't really get it for home protection or anything like that. We had a lot of rats where I live, so I used it for that. Okay, according to what my friend shared with me here, in Thailand, foreigners are not legally allowed to purchase any type of firearm. I'm reading this from my phone here. In fact, foreigners not even allowed to own any kind of parts or accessories, bullets, holsters, sights, grips, etc. Period. Nada. Zero for foreigners in Thailand. No, you cannot own a gun legally. I'm not even sure if you're like a law enforcement officer from another country and you come to Thailand, you bring your gun. I don't think that's allowed either. Okay, so it's only for Thais. Only Thais can legally purchase firearms in Thailand. Okay. Now, my source said that I can own as many guns as I want, and he says that he has a transport certificate, so that means that he can transport a gun in his vehicle, to another location, going to a shooting range, that kind of thing, as long as it remains in a locked container. I asked him, well, I lived in Bangkok for 8 years, a big city. I never once saw a gun shop. So I asked him, where do you buy guns in Thailand? He said that there are many shops in Chinatown, near a particular street in Chinatown. Now, Bangkok has a Chinatown, like most major cities around the world have a Chinatown. He says that they sell every kind of gun you can legally own. Okay, very important that you can legally own, including handguns, shotguns, long rifles. But the exception being that Thais are not allowed to legally purchase or own any assault weapons or automatic weapons. And these are the types of weapons that you hear about, AR-15s, AK-47s, Uzis, that are being used in the United States to commit mass murder and mass shootings. So these type of weapons are not legally allowed here in Thailand. He also shared with me that his brother has a pistol, but he himself doesn't own a gun. What he would have to do is he would have to go pick a gun make and model if he wants to buy a gun. He has to go to the police station first before he even pays for the gun and takes it home. He has to go to the police station in his area. He has to get fingerprinted and he has to get a criminal background check. Now, I want to point out that in many places in America, this is not even a requirement. Now, I don't want to get into politics here, but the Republicans in the United States, the Republicans, they're like, oh, it's the Second Amendment in our Constitution. You should own guns, blah 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 blah. That's all been misinterpreted. Years ago, we had a Chief Justice Warren Burger who said that the Second Amendment in the United States that says that citizens have the right to bear arms is a farce, because in that amendment it says to maintain a well-regulated militia. Now, at the time the Constitution was written 230 something years ago, we had a military. It was called militia. Now, a lot of proponents of gun ownership in America, especially these Second Amenders and Amendment and the Republican Party, they feel it's your God-given right to own a gun, and they say it's in the Constitution, whatever. But the argument that's made is, well, it says well-regulated militia. In other words, a person buying a number of assault weapons is not a well-regulated militia. That's one person, one gun buyer buying a bunch of deadly weapons. If you want to make the argument that you should be able to bear arms, because that's what it says. This was written over 200 years ago. It says bear arms. Now, I'm not talking about my arm being bare, okay? I'm talking about owning arms, bear arms, okay? That doesn't give you the right to own nuclear weapons or rocket-propelled grenades or surface-to-air missiles. But for many Americans, they believe it's their God-given right to own guns and to go out and do whatever they want with guns. Personally, I don't think you need an assault weapon, a AK-47 or a AR-15 to go deer hunting. What are you going to do? Put 15, 20 bullets in the poor animal? So anyway, that's a whole nother topic as far as America, why we have these gun problems in America, why the police have immunity from shootings and all this kind of stuff that goes on in America, and also one reason why I don't live in America. I'm not a huge fan of the United States of America.
It's a message from Johnny.
Okay, I didn't see the message. If there was a message there that didn't get posted on the screen, you could. What's the message? Do you see it?
Arrested a copycat. Man with pistol and rifle high on meth tried to take his from the school.
I mean today? Okay, I just got a message from a friend of mine saying that there was a report that some guy high on methamphetamines
Today,
today was apprehended by the police.
a man with pistol and rifle high on meth tried to take his from the school after his wife.
He tried. Okay, there was a guy high on ice, meth, whatever. Went to his kid's school and he was armed with a pistol and a rifle, and he was luckily apprehended by the police. So luckily, no one was hurt in that incident. Unfortunately, for some countries, crystal meth, speed, methamphetamine, that kind of thing is a problem. But we're not here to discuss that. So anyway, as I was saying earlier, it's mandatory to be fingerprinted, to have a criminal background check before you even walk out of the shop with that gun. You have to go to the police station in Thailand and get all of this sorted out first, okay? Then the police will issue a certificate for the specific make and model of gun desired. And he can take that to the shop, and then he takes that certificate to the shop, and then he can buy other guns, and then he can make some more purchases. Excuse me, my telephone is down to 5% battery where I'm getting this information from, so please hold on, don't go away. I need a power bank. Power bank, someone? Hold on, just 1 second. Okay, so while the lovely lady is getting a power bank and a cable, let me share with you what my friend, the attorney, told me about gun ownership here. Thank you. Okay, let's get this on there. Just 1 second, viewers. Hold on, just a second. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay, so thank you, JH, for that information. That's very helpful. Okay. And also here, okay, so as I said earlier, every firearm must be registered. Everyone has to go through a criminal background check before you can actually pay for the firearm and take it home. Now, my other friend who's an attorney told me that firearms are, what's the word I'm using for? They're very expensive here in Thailand, and that's purposely so that not everybody can go out and just buy a gun. As I mentioned earlier, certain professions like attorneys, of course, police, military, government officials, they can be fast-tracked for legal gun ownership, but still they have to go through the whole process. And he happens to be the owner of a Beretta M9A pistol, which I mentioned earlier. And I asked, why would you need a gun? He goes, well, sometimes lawyers go into areas that could be unsafe, so it's good to be prepared. Okay. He also mentioned to me that there is you can get a permit to carry a gun in Thailand, but other than police officers, I've never seen anybody, any member of the public walking around with a gun, holstered on their side there. In the whole time I've been in this country, I've only seen a firearm once that was not in the possession of a police officer, and I was in a bar, and I just happened to be standing next to two people who one person, a woman actually, gave a firearm to another person, and she took it out of her purse, and he put it in his pocket, and I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Maybe there's going to be a robbery? I don't know. But that's rare, too. We don't get those kind of incidents in Thailand where somebody goes to commit a robbery and uses a firearm. Can't even think of an incident where that's happened. I'm sure there have been. So, are we safe in Thailand? Personally, for me, the answer that I will share with you is a resounding yes. I don't feel like I need to worry about, these incidents I mentioned that happen in the United States with high frequency. Police officers killing people in their sleep and just shooting people in the back, that kind of stuff. Um, my main concern, as I said earlier, was like making sure I don't become a traffic fatality, because just to get off the topic here, Thailand, the last time I checked, has the second highest percentage of road fatalities in the world. I think the number one was Libya or some other African country. There are some pretty lax traffic laws here in Thailand, or they're not really enforced. The traffic laws are not enforced as they should be. So you saw in a couple of our vlogs, several vlogs ago, when we did teaching in Thailand. Teenagers can ride motorbikes without having a license, that kind of thing, and you know, so we see a lot of that around here. So of course, we're concerned that some teenager will get in an accident, smash into us, whatever, or the motorbike taxi will drive too fast and blah blah blah, and then you'll have an accident that way. So that was my main concern. I just never worried about being in a movie theater or a temple or a school, because I was a former teacher in a classroom. These things that happen in America quite frequently. But I wonder, as an American, as an expatriate, as a guest in this country, in this wonderful country, Thailand, what's next? Are we going to have copycats? What is the government going to do? And as a parent, and also, the partner of a teacher, my concern now is, what are the schools going to do to ensure the safety of our children, the students, the teachers, that kind of thing? Do we want a heavy security presence? Like I mentioned earlier, the Republicans in America are proposing to have like security guards and armed guards and stuff like that in school. Well, let me tell you something. A few years ago in Parkland High School in Florida, there was a sheriff, okay, with a weapon at that school when that shooter went and killed like 17 young high school students. What did that security personnel person do? Nothing. Nothing. He ran away. Same thing with the incident in Uvalde, Texas, where all these, as I mentioned earlier, all these macho guys with their guns were there, and the good guys with the guns, they did nothing too. So I'm not buying that argument that a good guy with a gun is going to stop a bad guy with a gun. No, that just flies in the face of reality and in the face of objective common sense. All right. I'm not really sure what else I want to say, except other than what's the future hold here in Thailand. Are we going to have copycat incidents? Is the government going to take a strong arm tactic to try to reduce these type of incidents? Because as I mentioned, the two major incidents that have happened here in Thailand involved a police officer who already has access to firearms, and 2 years ago it was a soldier from the army, and of course they have access to firearms. So we don't have Thai citizens, Thai people walking around shooting people randomly, church, school, temples, shopping centers, movie theaters, whatever. That has not happened, and I hope it never happens here in Thailand. Um, I have no desire to return to the United States other than the topic that we're discussing. That's one reason why. And like I said, I had my own incidents with police officers in America. I won the lawsuit because you guys were caught lying, okay? So I don't have any desire to live in America for that and many other reasons. I feel safe here in Thailand, and I hope that Thailand will continue to have us as guests, as expats in this country. And so my concern now is for our children's safety, because I have friends, Thai friends that have, kids that are school age, um, some that are young, about 2 years old, And many of the children, as I said, that were murdered yesterday were just young toddlers, 2, 3, 4-year-old children. And that's just an unspeakable horror. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what Thailand, what the government is going to do about this, how they're going to respond to this, what kind of new policies or laws, whatever they're going to introduce to kind of, hopefully nip this in the bud in the future. But again, I feel safe here still, other than the driving situation. That could be kind of hairy. Driving in Thailand is a totally different experience unto itself. And I ride a motorcycle almost every day. We do have a car, but sometimes it's just more convenient to use a motorcycle. So we'll just have to wait and see. Um, as I said, America to me is a far more dangerous country, culture, society than any other countries I've been to, especially here in this beautiful country of Thailand, where I've been living on and off for many years. And I will continue to remain here as long as the Thai people, the Thai government will allow us to stay here. So, with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap this live stream up. Of course, it'll be posted by YouTube, and then you can be able to watch it, pre-recorded. So again, let me recap what I went over on this live stream. We had a terrible incident yesterday where over 20 children were murdered, and a number of adults, up to 38 victims, including the gunman, who was a former police officer who went to a daycare center in Thailand and murdered these people. Um, we had an incident 2 years ago. A soldier went to a shopping center, killed 20 people. Um, Statistically, Thailand is very safe. It's only has had in 2016 about less than 4,000 deaths by firearms. We don't know how many of those were homicides. But it's the United States that has over 436 million firearms with just a population of 320 million. And I don't know what's going to happen in the United States as far as gun laws and gun ownership, that kind of stuff. The current president's trying to do something about that, but it seems like we have these incidents in America happen on a regular basis. You just get numb to them, and you're like, ah. But here, the fact that the victims were mostly children, that really hits home, especially if you're a parent. These were innocent children that were needlessly murdered, in a place that should be safe. So I hope that the governments, the schools, the Thai government, the school districts, the school administrators will find a balance between safety and freedom and access to the schools. Because whenever I go to V and Miles schools, I mean, I just walk right in. That's it. There's a guy there directing traffic. He's not an armed security guard. But now I have concerns about that. They do have a gate and then a side door, which maybe should be locked. There was a school I used to teach at that I featured in the vlogs 5 and 6. Um, it's a high school. When I went to tape the interviews there at that high school, the gates are totally locked. There's like a wall going around the school. And when I taught there, that gate wasn't there. You can freely walk in and out. But earlier this year, and I think it was June, I went there, and I asked him, "Wow, what's up with the gate? Why is this up here?" Well, they didn't install the gate because of safety concerns or anything like that, or thinking that some shooter is going to come to school. It was because a lot of the students were like leaving in the middle of the day, and I used to see this too. I'm like, where are they going? Oh, they're just going to go play hooky or just take off, whatever. It's to contain the students. Is basically what they did that for. So when I went there, I had to get somebody to open the gate, let me in, and then when I had to leave, they had to open the gate and let me out. Okay. But I don't know how many other schools. I don't know this daycare center where this incident took place, what their security measures were, if there's anybody there, whatever. The point is, I don't know what is going to happen as a result of this, but whatever it is, I hope there's going to be a balance between civil liberties and a certain form of safety. But then again, in America, they always go to the extreme with many things. And, after 9/11 happened, of course, basically a lot of Americans lost their civil liberties because of this incident. And then the politicians introduced this thing called the Patriot Act. It basically took a lot of your privacy and civil liberties away, especially when traveling. So, some people say, well, I'd rather give up a few freedoms for some safety, but you know what? Benjamin Franklin, one of the great American writers, he was not a president, but he is on the $100 bill. He wrote this: for any person willing to give up their safety, their liberties and their freedoms for a small measure of safety, deserve neither. In other words, if you're willing to give up your freedom just to have some laws or some restrictions put in place to make you feel safe, then no, you don't deserve safety and you don't deserve freedom. Okay? So for me, all of these things that have been passed in the United States that restrict, your ability to travel, that invades your privacy, Edward Snowden, everybody, NSA, CIA, all this kind of stuff. No, I'm not giving up my freedom for that, which is why I'm here in Thailand. Some people may criticize some of the policies, government policies that are in Thailand, but you know what? This is our home. And this is where I feel safe, and this is where I want to live. I don't want to be any other place in the world. Not in the Philippines, not in the United States, not in Hawaii, where I'm from, or any other place. So this is where we live, this is where we go to school, this is where we have our friends, our families, our colleagues, and that's how it is. So between the United States and Thailand, I'm going with Thailand 100% all the way. So, my friends, viewers, subscribers, whoever's watching this or will be watching it in the future after it's posted, thank you for joining me. Please check out our channel, Global Visions 3, with John V. and Miles. I want to wish you all a good evening or a good morning or a good day wherever you happen to be when you watch this. So thank you. Sawadee Kap. Peace and love. And stay safe. Aloha, everybody. Let's see. How do I get here?
There's an X upper right.
Okay, all right, everybody. I got to hit that X to log out of this live stream. So we'll see you again in our future live stream. I think we're probably going to have a how to make a homemade pizza thing, and we'll continue to post some other stuff, some shorts and that kind of thing. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Peace and love. Sawadee Kap. All right. How long was that?